Good morning everybody, good morning, it's JPR and welcome back to another video. Since the very beginning there's been different classes of Pokemon. Starter Pokemon, Legendary Pokemon, Mythical Pokemon, and these classifications have only become more numerous in recent generations. So today I'm going to go over every class of Pokemon, look at how they were handled, and rank them from worst to best. My only rule is no temporary form changes, so sorry to Mega Evolutions and Gigantamax. Let's get started. In last place, and this one is kind of a gimme, Baby Pokemon. Baby Pokemon were basically just an advertisement for the new breeding mechanic introduced in Gen 2, and just like the Grimace Shake, perhaps some features are better left unadvertised. Unfortunately, most of the time, these Pokemon serve next to no purpose whatsoever. Like, hey, Jigglypuff and Clefairy were already weak early game Pokemon, why do we need even weaker pre-evolutions that require friendship to evolve, which is like the most annoying stat ever? Now, I'll give credit, some of these do justify their existence, like Snorlax is way too powerful to use at the beginning of a game, and although Munchlax is scaled down, it's still good enough to use. I have no problem with ones like this existing. I would even say Elekid, Magby, and Smoochum are acceptable, but them evolving at level 30 is honestly even worse than a friendship evolution because they're way too frail to use until that point in the game. But pretty much the remainder of these babies, minus like Riolu, serve no purpose. If we had like a baby Lapras, or a baby Heracross, or a baby Kangaskhan, well I guess we do, but we also don't, those would be fine. They're much more suited for the early game, but what is Chingling adding to the game? And then half of them have this weird rule with incenses that just makes Pokedex completion way more annoying than it needs to be. Baby Pokemon are more of an inconvenience than the inevitable screaming baby on an airplane, and honestly, they just need a complete overhaul. Up next, we have Gimmick Pokemon. Now, I know, this isn't an official classification of Pokemon, it's more of a fan-made term, but everyone can easily identify Gimmick Pokemon. These are the guys that have one mechanic that their entire identity revolves around. Like the weird kid from school that eats paste. Now, I did do a best and worst video on these guys a few months back, so obviously there are a few good ones. Like Shedinja, for example. I think it's a super cool concept, and I'm glad it's in the game. But most of these just make me sad because the concept isn't even cool. Delibird? Unknown? Heck, maybe it's just me, but I really like Castform. I think it's sick, but it also sucks, and that makes me sad. Like, why is being bad seemingly a requirement of a gimmick Pokemon? Probably because most of these gimmicks are bad, but even the ones that are good feel shackled by horrible stats or moves or something. Again, they're not all duds, but certainly there are more misses than hits. Next, and it really does pain me to put these guys so low, but I'm sorry, I gotta do it. Mythical Pokemon. Once upon a time, Mythicals were a truly special group of Pokemon. If this were Gen 4, I would certainly put them towards the top. But for more than a decade now, Mythical Pokemon have become little more than glorified movie advertisements. Since Gen 6 started, Mythicals have tanked harder than Twitter after Elon Musk bought it. Going from having fully fleshed out lore and in-game events to just being picked up from some random delivery man at the Pokemon Center. It's got me questioning, what's even the point now? Mythicals are generally banned from VGC formats, you can't trade them on the GTS, they're just limited for the sake of being limited, it feels like. I'll put them above the babies and the gimmicks because, hey, they at least had a good run for a little while. If it weren't for Mew, we probably wouldn't be here now, and other Mythicals like Darkrai, Celebi, and Victini actually had decent events and lore. But man, if there were an award for the biggest fall-off, these guys would take it easily. Moving on up the ladder, we have the Ultra Beasts. Are these guys legendary? Sub-legendary? I don't know, it seems like even Game Freak can't make up their mind, and that's probably the most frustrating part about them. But I have to admit, the concept of alien Pokemon species from other dimensions is pretty rad. Most of these guys are pretty fun to use in the competitive landscape, even though Pheromos and Kartona stats feel like a war crime to look at, but for the most part, the majority of them seem balanced enough. I think the main strength of the beast lies in Alola's story, though. It does a great job showing off just how terrifying these creatures are, especially Nihilego and Guzzlord. Can they also look and act remarkably goofy at times? Yes, but I feel like that's also part of their charm. You never really know what you're gonna get with them, which seems appropriate for aliens. I only wish we had gotten to know a bit more about them and their dimensions. Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon helped a lot, but I can't help but feel like they were slightly underutilized by their debut games. Plus, this is just a hard group of Pokemon to integrate into newer games since it means some Ultra Wormhole or other phenomenon is almost always going to have to be shoehorned into the game. Cool concept, execution was just a bit messy. Kicking off our top 5, and on the note of absolutely terrifying creatures of the unknown, let's discuss the Paradox Pokemon. Originating from the Great Crater of Paldea and appearing to be ancient and futuristic versions of current-day Pokemon, there's still a lot of mystery surrounding the nature of these creatures. Some of the material in the games questions whether the Paradox Pokemon are even real, or if they materialize from the imaginations of the people exploring the crater. I think there's a great opportunity for Game Freak to push this concept further in the DLC, maybe relate them to Terrapagos and Terastallization in some way. It's also a really neat way of reimagining some classic Pokemon in new ways, similar to Mega Evolutions or regional variants, but taken to an even higher extreme. I'm personally not a huge fan of the robots. I feel like they're a lot less creative and memorable than the ancient versions, but I think the mystery more than makes up for it. Is there some dystopian future ahead where Pokemon can't inhabit the planet anymore, so people made robot substitutes? I'm even more invested in the mystery of Paradox Pokemon than the Ultra Beast because of what Game Freak has chosen to show us so far. Let's hope they stick the landing with whatever they have planned next. But before we start the top half of the list, I'd like to remind you to subscribe so you don't miss any new videos. It's free and you can impress all your friends with your Pokemon knowledge, so why not? Next, let's go with another fan-made class of Pokemon that everyone can recognize. Pseudo legendary Pokemon. There may not be that many of them, only 10 as of making this video, or 11 if you count Hisui and Goodra as a different Pokemon, but almost all of them are hits. You know these guys will always be useful on your journey, they're always going to be really rewarding in the long run, so it's no wonder why so many people's favorite Pokemon end up being pseudo-legendaries. My only gripe and reason for placing them this low is that I wish there was a little more variety in their typings. The only non-dragons we've gotten are Tyranitar and Metagross, and those guys are more than 20 years old now. Most of you guys watching probably weren't even born yet. I know dragons are typically what comes to mind when you think of strong Pokemon, but come on, don't you think that's a bit much? There's also a small issue with some of their base forms being available far too late in the game to form any meaningful connection with them, like Jangmo-o or Dreepy. It's a small complaint, but a complaint nonetheless. Landing in third place on the podium are legendary Pokemon. Let's face it, nothing is more memorable than coming across your first legendary Pokemon. Whether it was casually wandering into Zapdos' room in the power plant or witnessing a cutscene of Tapu Koko, these guys know how to make a lasting impact. But like Mythicals, legendaries have also been a bit of a mixed bag in recent years. Some have definitely felt downright unnecessary or been given out in less than inspired ways. I know not everything can live up to the discovery of the Regis or the significance of the Creation Trio, but when you look at dudes like Glastrier, it's like, okay, what happened here? It's also just a bit tiresome how many of the newer games throw dozens of legendaries into a single mode for you to run through. Dynamax adventures were fine, but stuff like the wormhole hunting or Hoopa's rings, I'm totally passing on. Some of the more recent ones like Mega Rayquaza, Zacian, and Miraidon have been the focus of the power creep discussion, which is a whole different can of worms, but it does have me wondering how much more ridiculous some of these guys can get. Regardless, legendary Pokemon will always have an air of magic around them that's going to captivate us for years to come, so despite my gripes, I feel very comfortable ranking them this high. In second place, regional variants. Now, I'll admit, when these were first introduced in the Alola region, I thought the concept was cool, but nothing too special. There's just a few types and maybe some abilities being shifted around, but it was all for Gen 1 Pokemon, and not many of them were all that great. But as time has progressed, this concept has only gotten better. In Galar, they used it to reintroduce cross-gen evolutions for the first time since Gen 4, not counting Sylveon, and gave us the first regional variants of legendary Pokemon with Articuno, Zapdos, and Moltres. In Legends Arceus, we got to see some extremely cool ancient variants and even some evolutions that went extinct over time. And in Paldea, well, we got Clodsire. That's cool. Huh, where did they all go? Well, regardless, this idea has only become more intriguing as time marches on. Not only does it reinvigorate old Pokemon and bring them back into the limelight, but it also helps each region establish more of its own identity through its designs. Basing this concept on real-life Darwinism was also super neat, and it helps the Pokemon world feel more alive and fleshed out. Plus, it gives every Pokemon fan some lingering hope that their favorites will be revisited in some way. And of course, coming in first place, the definitive class of Pokemon, it's starter Pokemon. Alright, have we had a few dud generations? Well, it depends on who you ask, but if you're asking me, yes. But there's a reason why these guys steal the show every generation. From the moment the games are revealed, everyone is picking their favorite starter and defending it like their own child. Everyone is always dying to find out what the final forms look like. And similar to Pseudos, they're always going to have good enough stats to be usable for the whole game. These guys are basically handcrafted in a lab to be your favorites. And you have to admit, it works. Most people's favorite Pokemon are starter Pokemon. Yes, even Meganium. Making that important decision at the beginning of the game is one of the most integral parts of the Pokemon experience. It just wouldn't be the same without starter Pokemon. Which is why I have to say, this is also the most important classification of Pokemon. But hey, thank you so much for watching today's video and making it to the end. If you enjoyed, definitely leave a like on this video to help me out and subscribe for more videos just like this one. I'll see you guys next time.